Hi everybody. So today I am going to show you how to make an oil infusion, and we'll talk about sun infusions and how to do it a quicker way using an Instant Pot or a crock pot. Stay tuned, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have a vendor event coming up. Plus, I'm trying to keep my stock up on my website, and I'm needing a bunch of salves. So these are a couple of my salves. This is what the end is going to look like after I do the salve part. So today we're just infusing the oils in order to use those oils later to make salves. If you want to know how I make the actual salves themselves, check out this video right here. So I need several different herbs. So I'm just going to show you a few and then go from there. So this is cramp bark. I use cramp bark in my cramp relief salve. One of the first things I like to use is a canning funnel. These are really handy to have around. And this jar is a little bit short. It's a little bit small for the canning funnel, but you can still make it work for what I'm doing right here. So no worries there. But um, it's not going to go all the way in, but you can still use it. You just have to hold it. So I like to repurpose my jars. I use spaghetti jars. I use whatever jars. You can use mason jars, but if you can't always get mason jars or they're too expensive, just repurpose your jars. These are not going to be like canned, so it doesn't matter. You're just infusing oils in them for a little while, and so no biggie. So like this is a calendula I've done before, so I just reused a peach jar, and they work perfect for that. Okay, I have my trusty helper this time. So we're going to take the cramp bark, pour some cramp bark into our jar. Do you want to hold the funnel or do you want to pour the... There, you hold the funnel in there. Ready? Ready. All right. So you're going to pour your herb in. And then we go like out there. So generally for my salves, I use organic extra virgin olive oil. But works really well for me. You could do like avocado oil, grapeseed oil. Those get a little more expensive though. I don't recommend like canola oil because that's just processed junk. So you want to use a good oil and preferably organic. I do my salves or anything that I'm going to sell organic. So I'm going to have my buddy hold it, and then I'm going to pour oil in. You're going to use quite a bit. You see how that's filling up? Yeah. Then I'm going to get my wooden spoon. I prefer wooden or silicone when I do this. Metal, if you use metal spoons or whatever, they can be reactive with the oil. So you don't really want to use metal. You want to use wood or silicone would be all right too. So I just mix it up good to make sure there's no dry spots on the bottom, like we saw just a minute ago if you were seeing that. So just mix it up good. And then the rule of thumb when you are making this is to make sure that there's like at least 2 finger lengths between the herb and the oil. So I'm not there yet. So my herb is still saturated in the oil, but I need at least 2 fingers above it so that as it soaks up more, that it's going to not suck up all that herb in there. And with this one, because this is a little bit denser herb, the cramp bark, I may have put a little bit too much in there. What you don't want is for all that herb to suck all your oil out, and then you're not going to have enough oil for what you need it for. So, and as you can see here, I did go a little too much. I put a little bit too much of my herb in there. I probably should have stopped about there and then done oil. And then if I needed to add more herb, add more herb. So don't do as I did, do as I say. All right. So for now, we're going to leave that and let it settle a little bit. We'll go a little bit more. And then see, I may need to divide this into two different jars so that I can get enough oil out of it. Oh, you're providing me another jar? Thank you. Okay, so before you do this, you want to make sure that you're using washed, sanitized jars. Okay. Um, you don't want any bacteria or any dirt or anything in there. So let's do a different herb that is going to not soak up as much, and it'll be easier to see what I'm saying about the 2 thumb rule. All right. All right, buddy, you're on. This is plantain. Okay. The plantain is, it's not as thick because it's the plantain leaves. Um, this cramp bark is more, well, it's a bark, so it's a little denser. But as it's kind of separating a little bit, you can tell that there is some oil in there, and it's not all taken up by the herb, which is what you're wanting. So with this one, we shouldn't have any issues putting the oil in. So if you can see here, you've got to start with your dry.
I would say some more.
You would say some more herb.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a different wooden spoon. See how some of that on the bottom isn't saturated? That's what you don't want that stuck down there dry. So you're going to take your wooden spoon and get that all mixed up in there. I think we're going to do a little more oil in here. So as it sits a little bit, you can tell the separation there. I hope you can tell the separation. So now you can tell where there is oil in between the herbs. So that is that 2 finger rule. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be the top. It just has to be in there somewhere where you at least have 2 fingers long of oil so that it's saturating correctly. What are you going to say?
I was gonna tell the plantain something.
Okay.
Example.
Example, the plantain's a good example. Oh, this is the plantain. Oh, you're telling the plantain that the cranberry bark is being a good example to it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. My son loves to help me in the kitchen with my herbs and everything. Do your kids help you do your gardening, do your herb stuff? And if not, do you let them help? Because I know sometimes as parents it can be very daunting, but and it takes a little more patience and a little more time, and I'm working on my patience. It's the fruit of the spirit, right? And but it's good quality time for us. But this one, the thing actually fits in the jar, so my buddy can pour it in, so she doesn't have to help me hold it. We're doing St. John's wort here. Now, if you have fresh St. John's wort in your yard, I highly recommend using that. I don't have any that grow around where we're at right now. So, but if you have fresh and then you dry it, and then it makes the most beautiful red oil. It's awesome. Now, if you buy the dried, um, or you're using really dried herbs, then it's not going to give you that same. He spilled it on me. I'm just going to rub that in. It's not going to give you that same red oil look. You can use fresh herbs, but say you want to get some plantain out of your yard and use it, I highly recommend at least drying for a little while first, like overnight. Just make sure that they're a little dry and a little crispy. You don't want to just go outside and turn around and come in and use it. One, because you do need to wash them, and then there's water in there. But also, as they're as they're drying, they're going to lose some of that water content. And you don't want that to happen while they're mixing with the oil because water and oil don't mix. And you can end up getting mold that way. So you want to make sure that whatever you're using is completely dry first. So this one is wild yam root, and it's easier to tell because it's a denser, it's a root. So it doesn't float like leaves as much. So this definitely has it's got a 4 thing in there, but two something for sure. And then you just want to make sure every now and then that you're just mixing it up in there so that it doesn't all just stick to the bottom. Now, the next thing you want to do, which is what I always forget to do and later regret it really badly, is make sure you're labeling. Okay. Um, Now, if you want to learn the botanical names of these, you can do that and then label that and then the common name. I know a lot of people do that, or you could just do the common name. So this one is plantain. Um, and I'm just going to do the common names. I mean, it's Plantiago, um, but just for ease sake, I tend to do the common names. So plantain, and then I like to do organic. Sometimes I put organic, sometimes I don't, because pretty much all my stuff I do organic. So, but I will write it on there just to remind myself sometimes, just in case one isn't for whatever reason. And then the date. So what is today? It is July, so 7/23, 23. So we'll just take our label and put it on. Okay. Now this is if you are going to do a solar infusion is basically what it's called. So this I'm going to go set out in the sun and let sit for 4 to 6 weeks is typically what I do. You can do two, but the herbs are going to get infused a lot better if it sits in the sun in a warmer place longer. So you can just set it out where it's in the warmer. You can do a window seal. It doesn't have to be outside, just somewhere where it's going to get the sun into it. And then after it's sun infused for a few weeks, or after you strain it, you want to put it in a dark, cool place in a dark bottle. But for now, we're going to do this. Now, I am kneading these faster. I'm also going to show you a way to do these the faster way. So if you don't have time to do a solar infusion and put them out in the sun for a few weeks, this is the quicker way to do it. You can use a crock pot or an instant pot if you want. So I just filled this with water, okay, and I kind of did about a quarter to a half full. And you're going to see um, kind of more how to do that as I put these in. So you're going to take your oils that we just filled and put them in the water. And you want it to where it is about there on your bottle, on your jar. And you want the lids to be on, but not tight. Oh, that was really tight. So you want them to be on, but not super tight. So there's enough air for everything to move like it needs to move. You'll tighten them later, but for now, just kind of put them on there loosely. You don't want any water to get in the oil, so be cautious of that. And then as you fill this up, of course, the water level is going to go up, which is fine. So now it's about up to here now in my jars, which is fine. So you want the majority of your jar to be covered in water, but not all the way. So however many will fit in there. In this one, because it's an old one, probably about this 3. You don't want to overcrowd it. And then you don't put the lid on. It won't fit anyway. And then you just turn it on to warm. And you just want it on warm for a while. You don't go low, high, anything like that. You just want it on warm. And then you let this go for 3 to 5 hours or so until they're good and warm and those herbs have had time to infuse in the oil. So this is the faster way to do it. This is the way I'm going to do it right now because I'm getting ready to make all of these salves and I need these. So if you're in a hurry, this is one way to do it. Don't forget to subscribe and like to my channel. You're going to see more things about how to make herbs and oils and even some gluten-free, dairy-free things and some essential oil tips.